I want you to cast your mind back, way back, many centuries ago. You can see where I'm going with this, can't you? Not long after the Bible began, as the song goes, Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber and Sir Tim Rice wrote Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. When they were both still at school, it was just 15 minutes long when it first came out in 1968. Since then, it became a full-length production, played the West End, went on Broadway, toured the UK many times. The latest version that's in Nottingham next week is the London revival, and it stars a fella who has worn that loincloth on many occasions. This time, though, he's playing someone covered in gold, Pharaoh. Good afternoon, Joe McElderry.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well. I was sort of reading about what you were doing and what part you'd played in this previously, and one question came to mind immediately. Do you get to wear more or less than when you were Joseph?
Well, do you know what? I thought when they first asked us if I wanted to come back and play Pharaoh, I thought, oh, great, I don't have to wear the loincloth anymore. And it's pretty much just as least amount of clothing. If anything, I wear less clothing than Joseph does in this production. So I'm like, hang on a minute, I'm getting the raw end of the deal here.
Can I just see that contract again, please? Now, how does it feel being Pharaoh this time round?
Do you know what? It's lovely. I mean, Joseph became such a huge part of my career about 6 or 7 years ago, and I toured the UK extensively with it and had an amazing time. And, you know, I kind of put it in a box, as you do with most jobs when you've kind of finished a project or a musical or an album or anything. And I thought, well, you know what, I'll probably never see that again. That was lovely. Fond memories. And then I had a conversation with Michael Harrison, the producer of this version, and he said, we'd love it if you would come back and do Pharaoh in the show. And I thought it was a really nice way to return, but in a fresh kind of nostalgic way as well. And it's the brand new Palladium production as well, so it's completely different to the first time round. So I've been doing it for a couple of weeks now, and it's been so wonderful to be back, but also just really exciting to do something different as well.
Yeah. I mean, it must be quite strange because obviously you're familiar with the role of Joseph, as we've said. So now you're kind of watching somebody else do what you did. It's a bit like a strange out-of-body experience.
It is, honestly. I was in the dressing room the first week we opened about 2 weeks ago, and I was in the dressing room getting ready to go on for my part in the show. And there was a bit that Joseph was singing, and it was running through the speakers backstage in the dressing room. And I jumped up from the desk because I thought I'd missed a cue. Because it's such muscle memory, those songs.
Yeah.
But I have to say, it's lovely to kind of be doing a different role. And the Pharaoh's really fun. It's got a bit of comedy in there. And it's a real kind of rock and roll moment in the show. So I get to kind of get my teeth into something a little bit different. So I'm having a lovely time.
What's your version of the Pharaoh like then?
Mine's quite flamboyant, shall we say. I do riff it up a little bit. I've put a few ad-libs and riffs in there to make it a bit more of a singer kind of song than more of a rock and roll. So there's a few extra little riffs. I've took some of the high notes up at the end just to play around with it a little bit. And I just have fun with it, you know. The audience, it's a real kind of show-stop moment in the show where the audience almost feel like they're part of the number. You know, there's lots of kind of stop and starts in it. So it allows for a bit of audience participation and messing around with the audience as well. So it's been fun. And I know from my past experiences of Nottingham, they're always fantastic audiences. So I'm expecting the same from them.
You see, we had the conversation sort of happening with the movie Wicked, where audiences were singing along, and it was like, no, don't sing along. It's a film. Stop doing that. I mean, with a production like Joseph, whether you want to sing along or not, it must just be something that happens.
Well, yeah, and also the great thing about Joseph is we've got the huge mega mix at the end, so they can get up and dance and sing along. It becomes, once the show's ended and we do the big mega mix, it's about 10 minutes long, I think, at the end of the show, and it kind of goes back through all of the songs again, and that's a real opportunity for the audience to join in, and they go I mean, honestly, not that I'd forgotten, but I'm reminded when I return to a show like Joseph, it is some of the best audiences. They come to that show with such like warmth and energy that you can just feel it in the room as soon as the music starts.
What do you think it is about Joseph that has given it that kind of longevity?
I think it's A lot of people's first experience with theatre, whether they do it at school or they do it in a kind of amateur production, it's a lot of people's first musical that they go and see, maybe on a school trip as well.
Yeah.
So I think people have that first memory of that. Then they go back again when they're a little bit older. Then they take their kids. It's a real multi-generational audience that come and see it, which I think is why it stood the test of time and it's so successful. And also, the songs are great. They're really catchy. And it's just fun. It does what it says on the tin. It's just a fun show, you know, and it's lighthearted and it's got kind of emotional moments in there. There's a lot of comedy in there as well. And it's just a great night out for everyone, for the family.
I mean, it's and you sound, you just, you know, chatting to you now, you just sound like you're enjoying every single minute of it.
I am, you know, I mean, I've been doing this a long time now, and I love like every aspect of my job, whether it's solo stuff or musical theatre, and I've dropped into pantomime as well. But there's something lovely about returning to a show that kind of people have a love and affection for, and you know, a lot of people come up to me and go, "I loved you when you were Joseph." So to kind of get a second go around with it and come back to it and share those memories again is not lost on us. You know, I don't take it for granted, and it's such a spectacular production. So it feels lovely to be part of both of the historical productions that have been around in my career. To be able to be a part of them both is very special.
Do you remember the first time that you heard, thinking of the X Factor, do you remember the first time that you heard your name said by Peter Dixon? Because that's a moment, isn't it?
Well, I mean, honestly, and people still shout it at you now. Or the one that they normally shout is Rachel Adedeji.
Yes.
She was on my year, but people always use her name. I think it's because it's such a great name to be pronounced in that style. That's the one. The one you take a run up with. That's the one you get the accent, Peter Dixon's voice sorted with, the voiceover guy, and then you kind of go, "Now I'm ready for Joe McElderry. Now I'm ready." I'm sure that's how it works. But I mean, what you've got to remember for us is that that was the last voice you heard before you were about to perform to millions of people. So it sometimes creates quite a lot of anxiety for me, because I'm like, oh my God, I remember how I felt when I was just standing on stage waiting to hear the announcement ready to go into the song. So yes, but you can never forget that.
No, absolutely. And I know, you know, I saw you did the Freedom Tour, the George Michael songs. That must have been a special moment.
It was incredible. You know, I was asked to do that, and kind of, you know, because of being able to sing with him on X Factor and stuff like that. Yeah. And Live Nation and the producers came to me and said, would you go on a tour and celebrate all of his music? And to be asked to do something like that for somebody like him is a daunting thing, because you never want to. Well, I personally didn't want to kind of look like I was trampling on somebody else's music, and I wanted to do it with the utmost respect. But honestly, it was one of my favourite tours that we ever did. People just came along to celebrate the music and the atmosphere. And actually, you know, we came to Nottingham. We came to the concert hall in Nottingham, and it was funny. I was just talking about this the other day, because I said, I'm really looking forward to going back to Nottingham. I was there, and somebody who I worked with was like, if you remember, they were one of the best audiences on that tour. They were one of the loudest audiences. It was electric. So I'm excited to come back.
We're looking forward to having you. It's going to be fabulous. It's Wednesday the 5th of February to Saturday the 15th of February. Joe, have a great time when you're here. Enjoy it. We'll do our bit, okay?
Thanks so much. Have a lovely day.
You too. Take care. Joe McElderry there. It's going to be in Joseph at Nottingham's Theatre Royal from Wednesday the 5th of February to Saturday the 15th of February. Have a great time if you go to that.